So today I am joined with Melissa from Prime Residential Property Management, and she is a awesome Victorian property manager, and we are just wanting to do a check-in state by state to see how everyone is travelling. And of course, Victoria is going to be our first point of call because of what you guys are going through. So tell me how you are feeling right now.
Look, I mean, we're just riding a big roller coaster of emotions, I think. Within our industry, we've been shook by a lot of changes, and we've had to adapt really to our, to what's going on. So for me personally, yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a bit of a change from environment, obviously working at home, not being able to sort of go and do the things that we would normally do. So missing the interaction with people, I suppose, too, is really something that, kind of, I guess, plays with your mind. It's something that I've been really struggling with in terms of that. So for me, I'm personally really grateful that I've actually got really great industry friends that I can actually bounce from, which is really nice. But yeah, look, we're all wanting to go back to normality. So it is what it is. And, we're just doing the best that we can to do the best for ourselves, but also look after ourselves too. That's really important. Trying to keep up the same routine is something that is challenging too. Not it's really been difficult.
Are you finding it's quite consistent with your property manager colleagues as well? Like, are they all feeling the same? Is everyone feeling like they're in the same boat?
Yeah. I mean, some, I suppose that if they come from people that are in big teams that work with a staff of 20 people, obviously going from that to working at home in a bedroom is super different, in terms of isolation and stuff. So I think it's pretty normal across the board that everyone is kind of feeling it. We just got the notification that it has been extended for another 2 weeks, and then on top of that we still can't go back to the office for another month. So actually we'll be pretty much in what we're in for all up about 12 weeks in terms of complete lockdown, but even before that people have been working at home since March. So
Wow.
yeah, it's really people have had to adapt really quickly, and if they haven't adapted or haven't been innovative, then they've struggled. So for me, I'm obviously very lucky. I'm quite innovative and things like that, so it's not a huge transition, but it's definitely something that everyone's kind of feeling the pinch, and we kind of were hoping that things would change, but unfortunately we just got to keep at it, and we've got another 6 or 7 weeks of what we're in. So yeah, it's pretty standard across the board. I'm just hopefully people are looking after themselves, and our industry and our friends in Victoria have all been very supportive. So that's been really nice, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing. I know that you are a forward-thinking, property manager and business owner. So you were probably already doing, virtual tours or videos of properties before. So you are probably, one of the more advanced property managers. I can only imagine what the old school property managers would be feeling right now. Like, they would just be freaking, I reckon.
Yeah, there's some people that are not leasing their properties that I've seen, on just property management forums and stuff like that. There are agencies that are hesitant about leasing properties through their videos. For me and my business, I mean, I've personally been doing this stuff for more than 2 years. So I've been doing 3D tours and walkthrough tours on all of my properties. So actually, when lockdown hit the first time, it was really no different to me whatsoever. I was very prepared for that, so I was very grateful that I had implemented everything that I was taught a really long time ago. And then when the stage 4 come, we can't go to properties and we can't do videos. So agents were kind of scrambling, I suppose, to get their videos done before we went into lockdown, because there's just no opportunity for us to go and do a video anymore. We can't do that. So unless it was done before lockdown, we can't do it unless it's at the vacate inspection. If a tenant's vacating, then we can do a video at that time. But other than that, there's just really no opportunity. So for me, I was very fortunate because of what I have implemented into my business. But yeah, there's some agents that are not leasing their properties, so they're effectively they'll be vacant for probably close to 3 months without any action being done. But yeah, we've still been leasing throughout this time, throughout the whole, since March, we've been consistently leasing our properties through our videos, through our video walkthroughs and 3D tours. So again, we're really grateful that we have been able to do that. But yeah, some agents that have not adapted to that, maybe a little bit stuck behind, I suppose. So yeah, they've had to adapt, even to going cloud-based. Some agents weren't cloud-based.
No, we had that here as well, and I thought, well, why wouldn't you be cloud-based anyway? But there are agents out there that so what does it mean to owners then? So if their property doesn't have a video tour and photos, does it mean that they just have to put them on hold?
Well, if they've already been advertised, then they would still be advertised, I suppose. So they wouldn't be we can't do private inspections. We cannot get people through properties. The only way that we can physically, to lease a property is through a video tour. No one would really sign up for a property without a walkthrough video. I wouldn't envision anyone to do that. So if there's no video on the marketing, then I would effectively say that they would be staying vacant for the whole 12 weeks throughout lockdown. But yeah, it's a hard call because some agents maybe they didn't have time. We only had 2 days of stage 4 lockdown being announced. So, if they've got 20 or 30 properties available, they may not have had, time to do videos on all of them. So, yeah, those owners would be really feeling the pinch. They would be struggling to, they're not getting any rent, they're not getting any eyes on the property. People would be leasing properties with video tours on them.
And then how are tenants reacting to those video tours? Are they sort of happy, or I guess they've got no choice, but are tenants reacting okay with that new way of applying?
Yeah, I reckon, look, they are. Like I said, I've been doing it for a really long time, and we lease a lot of our properties through our videos anyway. So I think it's about the level of detail that is involved in the video. Like if the agents are just putting together photos and then putting some nice music behind it, there's not really a video walkthrough. It doesn't envision what the property actually looks like. So, our tours are literally like me behind the camera saying, this is the bedroom, look at the light, look at the blinds, showcasing the features of the home to the client. And if the videos are like that, then they have a full understanding of the whole property. And yes, they have able to easily adapt to that. I have multiple friends that have been doing the same thing, leasing their properties through their videos. And yeah, tenants have been really adaptive to that. And to be honest, if they want to move, they don't have a choice. So we can't show them the property by any other means at this point. So yeah, the tenants have been really, really great. If they have any further questions about it, then obviously the agent needs to just kind of go through that process with the tenant. But look, most of the time they've been pretty good. The people that are looking, they're serious people. They're not they're not time wasters. That the next door neighbour that's being nosy that's coming through to look at the property. It's none of that. It's serious people that are really wanting to move. They're serious about the property. They apply for the property based on the video and they lease it and sign a clause to say they haven't seen it, and they take it and they move in. So it's been really great. So yeah, they've been.
And what sort of people are moving at the moment?
Look, I just leased a property to a single guy this week. He's moving into one of my 3-bedroom properties. He's with a family member. They're moving out. The brother's moving in with his girlfriend, so he can go on his own. I just leased another one to another couple in a property in town. So really an apartment, which is obviously inner city of Melbourne, is really struggling at the moment. Rents have decreased substantially because of all the Airbnbs that have come on. We haven't had tourism for 6 months, so there's a whole, the vacancy rates, astronomical at the moment. So it's a lot of properties in town. But yeah, people that are looking, I've leased a single lady. She's got 2 kids, single mum that's working. She wants to be closer to her work, so professional people that are serious, that want to move. could be for work reasons, could be for personal reasons and things like that. So
are you getting all the divorce and separations because of the lockdowns happening? Because we had a huge spike in separations.
Yeah, a little bit. And even I've seen that with my portfolio as well, people that are separating and things like that. So it comes down to, people have been in lockdown since March here, and it's just, like it's hard. Like it's mentally and physically draining. We can see that from things like the financial perspective, people losing their jobs and all the hardship that they're going through, but also, people that are separating, they've been in a house with their partner for 6 months, so it takes a toll if they potentially can't get through that. But I've seen a lot of that come through, to be honest.
Yeah, and how's the BDM growth going then? If everyone's so restricted, is there an opportunity for BDM growth, or not at the moment?
Look, I think that there is, in terms of like people that are looking, if they have a vacant property online, it's very difficult for us to market that property at this point, because we can't do professional photography. So we can't get a photographer into the property. We can only go into the property throughout the move-in, move-out process. So it's very difficult to showcase a property online. So in terms of the first lockdown, I had a huge amount of business growth throughout that first lockdown from about March till about June. My business I just had huge growth, and there's agents that weren't doing the videos at that point. So for me, that was a really great time. In terms of now, like, people aren't really making any decisions because it's a bit of an unknown, to be honest. We've got a few properties coming available that may be available at the end of October, and things like that. But I think the main thing is obviously tenants are also moving out of properties too. So like, I had a property that the tenant gave notice to vacate on his property, and what I actually did is I actually got the tenant to do the video for me, because I obviously couldn't be there and do it. So he did the video, and then we put it online with photos we already had, and then we actually managed to tenant that property. So the properties are kind of coming on, and people potentially moving in and out. They might be getting a better deal somewhere else, things like that. So there's not been a lot of new properties in the last probably 4 to 6 weeks that have come on for sale or rent. So I envision that to kind of change towards the end of next month.
Yeah.
Kind of what happens with the lockdown, I suppose. But it's kind of, people are just kind of staying put at this point, I think. So unless they've got photos and videos already, or the owners can do the photos and videos, then we can put the property online from there. They need to have access to the property to do that.
Yeah, of course.
Or be a new property to settle, and we do the handover, and then we can do it from there. But again, people, new builds, they're not really settling. They're kind of holding off on the builders at the moment, is what I've found. So hopefully in the next 4 weeks that changes a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what about like routine inspections? Like, are you putting them on hold? Are you getting the tenants to do them? How does that work for you?
So I'm doing them through Inspect Real Estate, actually. So I'm doing that. I've been doing them online since about April, or the end of March is when it kind of really hit for us. So we've been doing them online since then. So we literally do.
Do you mean the actual routine inspections?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we do it through Inspect Real Estate. So they've got I don't know what you call it, an extension of the program that allows us to do routines, and pretty much we do a video with the tenant. So it's kind of like Zoom, but it's not Zoom, it's through the program, and the tenants log on, and I would just literally give them directions on what I want to see. So, I would start off with the door, then go to the walls and have a look around the walls and do the ceiling and the floors and the walls, that kind of thing. So, and we also take photos at that point too. So I think it's important to still, we don't know how long we're going to be in lockdown for, right? This could be until, who knows? We don't know when we can even go and do routines again. So, we've been doing them online for a few months now. So, we're not getting the tenants to take their own photos. There are, you can do that. There are some agents that are doing that. but I'm doing them on videos at the moment with the tenant. The tenant and I will do it together.
And do you think that will be something that you might keep on doing, or is it, I'll do it for now, but as soon as I can, I'm in there?
Look, I'd much prefer to meet with the tenants, and you build relationships. Like for me, I build relationships with people. I like to see their pets, and I like that aspect of the job. I think that the video inspection definitely has its place in property management, potentially for the years to come. We only do 2 inspections per year here in Vic, so I know different states have different inspection. They do different inspections throughout the year, but we only do twice. So, I mean, if that ever changes, it could be that we do, 1 online and 2 face-to-face, or, we can, I guess, tailor that around the owner's request. But look, there's definitely a place for it. It's definitely, it's easy to do in terms of, doing the inspection, but I would always much rather do them face-to-face, I think. You get a better understanding of the property too, I suppose, when you see it in real life. So, but yeah, we're just doing the best that we can with what we've got, at the moment. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing.
One thing with the routine inspections is, for me, I'm the same. I want to just go through and do it myself and be there and not really trust the virtual inspection. But where I think there is a place is maybe the opportunity down the track of the owners attending the inspection virtually, and then doing it that way. So same concept, but just a little bit different.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, even in terms of the routine inspection, sometimes I even FaceTime the owners. If they want to be there but they can't, then we've been doing that for a little while now too. Not for every property, but if the owners want to be there and they can't, or they're interstate, then I would just give them a quick FaceTime. So it's definitely already been around. It's just, I suppose, how well the agents adapt. And at the moment, we don't have a choice. We have to adapt in order to keep the level of service up, for the clients. So
yeah, exactly. Tenants' rents, how are they going? Are they paying?
Look, not as bad as what I first thought, to be honest. When this whole thing went down, everyone was like, oh my God, people are not going to pay. And that was going through my mind as well. As a business owner, I thought, wow, how am I going to afford to keep my business afloat? But to be honest, a lot of most of the tenants have been pretty good. I've been very lucky with my clients. Look, it could come down to the tenant selection. It could come down to the location of Melbourne that you're in. My area is a very high rent area. My average rent's about $370 a week here. So it's not, you get to inner city of Melbourne and the average rent is $600. So it's a lot more difficult for people to afford to pay. So that could be a factor. But look, to be honest, the government's putting in, the JobKeeper payments and, all that kind of stuff to help the tenants. You've got the rent relief grant and things like that. So it's not as bad as what I kind of first thought it would be. But there are still tenants that are suffering, that literally can't pay the rent. They've lost their jobs. But on the flip side of that, the owners are also suffering as well. It's that's probably been the most difficult thing for me in the whole time, is seeing the hardship from the tenants, but also from the owner's perspective too, because it's happening on both sides. There's not a lot of relief out there for the owners at this point. I don't believe there's a lot of relief for them. So, it's a very difficult conversation to have with someone, to say, the tenants are struggling, but also the owners are at the same time. But yeah, I think the average is around, I heard was around 5% of a portfolio is struggling. So that's not a lot in the overall scheme of things.
I think we all worried about it, and our figures are probably about the same as that as well, with the genuine people that needed it. But did I read somewhere that you guys aren't doing deferrals?
So with the rent relief grant, there's no, so for example, so when they apply for the grant, that money, the owner would have had to reduce the rent. So they would have had to come to an agreement through Consumer Affairs or privately. Then they'll have that new rent, and then the rent relief grant will then be taken off the rent. So the rent automatically comes to us. We receipt it. So it's like a credit of their rent. So effectively there's no deferral of their rental payment. I mean, I suppose you could negotiate with the tenant and the landlord if you wanted a referral, but I mean, we personally haven't done that. We've kind of done it a different way, maybe given the tenant like a week free or half a month free, or, you know, reduce your rent for a certain time. And most owners have been pretty good with that. They haven't really asked, I mean, different agents may be different, but that's kind of the way that we've done it. So in order to get the grant, the rent is renegotiated, and then the credit of the rent relief grant goes to the rent. So it comes to me. So effectively they get an extra 2,000 or 3,000 on top of their reduced rent, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like a bonus.
But then the owner's missing out on whatever they've negotiated, aren't they?
Yes, correct. Yeah. They get the 25% stamp duty payment discount, but I mean, it's not a lot. You know, it's...
So we did deferrals. So the tenants have got to pay that money back at the end of the emergency period. So it's really more of a cash flow situation for the landlord. They just have to, you know, have a reduced rent, but they know that they'll get all that money back at some stage, hopefully. But yeah, it's it is so unfair. And like you said, you know, owners are in the same position. I've got owners that are travel agents and all of that, and you just pray that their tenants aren't in a bad position as well, you know.
It's very difficult. I mean, and also there's some tenants that put it on, you know, there's some tenants that said, oh, I've got, you know, can I have rent relief? And I'm like, okay, so what's your financial position? Here's a hardship form, fill out the details. And they never got back to us because they were just trying their luck. And I'm like, well, you're aware that your owner is, you know, everyone's suffering here. If you're not suffering financially, you're definitely suffering mentally. So, I mean, it's a very difficult time. And I think that it was a little bit disappointing actually to see that there were some people that were trying to take advantage of the situation. Obviously it's to be expected. That's, you know, that's just what it is. But, you know, that's probably been the most difficult thing, I think, to see it on both sides. But yeah, I mean, we didn't do any deferrals. We just would give, you know, like a credit on their rent or a small discount or something like that. Or some of the tenants, we've renegotiated their terms. So we might have re-signed them for another 6 or 12 months at a reduced rate, because we wanted to keep them in the property. And the owners were happy to keep them and give them a small discount, but that was over 12 months. So the owner gets security. So that's kind of the way that I've done it, which I thought is the best way. But, you know, every case is different. There's so many different stories. Like
it's all about just negotiating, isn't it?
Yeah. And just being fair for everyone involved, like understanding that everyone's suffering. So, you know, it's a very difficult skill to kind of have, I think, to look at both sides of it. I think is a very difficult, probably something I never thought I would have to do in all of my time. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the evictions, that's been extended to the end of January, is it?
End of March now.
End of March. No.
Yeah, so end of March. So it is till, what is it, the 26th of March, I think, 2021. So no rent increases. No evictions. So that's also another thing, is that if people are like, if they're not paying because of hardship, that's one thing. But if they're not paying because they're just not paying, then that's a whole different kettle of fish, right? It's just, you know, you've got to go through the consumer affairs to get a case at VCAT. There's a backlog. You know, it's pretty crazy what's going on out here. But yeah, we cannot evict tenants for rental arrears if they have been affected by COVID. If they can't prove it, then we can still go down the VCAT path. But there's a process to follow. It's a bit of a different process because we can't serve a notice to vacate, obviously. And same with rental increases. We can't increase the rent, can't issue a notice until after March, end of March. So effectively, we can't actually affect the rent increase until 60 days after that.
Wow. So we can issue the notices, it just can't come into effect.
We can't issue them until after the end of March.
Wow. And don't you think, like, it absolutely dumbfounds me that we're one country and state by state we have such different rules. Like, seriously, I actually do not understand that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, obviously, like, I know that Victoria has been really hit by what's going on. So it's so different. Even when I speak to like different people in different states, it's just, what they're going through is something so different to what we're going through. And, there are some agents out here that are really going to struggle to like get back into the workforce, not the workforce, but to reopen their doors. Like, small businesses is one thing, but in terms of like being able to adapt to the situation, learn the legislation, understand what's going on, is like agents need to be fully across that, because some are not. To be in a position to educate your clients, you need to understand what's kind of going on. So yeah, it's crazy. Like, Victoria is the most, it's supposed to be the most livable city in the world, but it's not right now.
No.
Melbourne is supposed to be, but yeah, anyway, it is what it is.
Do you think, or is it too far to even start thinking about what's going to happen after the 26th of March? Like, do you think there could be a boom? Do you think it's going to go down? Like, do you have any speculations?
No, I reckon that I know that once we come out of lockdown, at the end of the year, there is going to be so many new properties that come on for sale and rent, because no one's been able to do anything. Everyone's been scared, to do anything. There's going to be an influx of property over the Christmas period, all going well. So look, that could potentially go both ways. I mean, it could drive the prices down if there's a lot of people that are looking around for a rental property. Or it could drive the prices back up if there's more tenants in the market. So it's kind of hard to say, I suppose. But what I do think is that it's really going to shape our industry. Like, what's happened here, I actually think it's really good, because it just means that the people that are stuck in the dark ages, I suppose, they've had to adapt to become digital, to become innovative. For me, I kind of need to think about what's the next step. Like, how do I become, what do I do to become a bit more innovative, And this is a time for businesses to get themselves set up. Like, we're still busy, we're still working. We can't go to the office, so the office is closed, but, we're still here, we're still working from home. But it's, I've taken the time for myself to kind of figure out, okay, what's my next step? What do I need to do? How can I, because once things are open, I think it's going to be crazy. People are going to be buying property. They're going to have more confidence in things, and hopefully by March, like, people if people are back at work and things are now settled and there's, no problems, but there could be people that still owe rent too. Like, I mean, if people are thousands of dollars behind in their payments, then, it's going to take a long time for them to catch up if they're not in a position to do so. So, I do think that agents that are not innovative will struggle to get back into the market, because I think agencies that are innovative will take over a large portion of market share, because people are going to be concerned about, what happens if it happens again? If we don't have a vaccine, what happens if we go into lockdown again? And I'm with an agent that doesn't do video. Like, last time, my property was available for 3 months with no eyes on it. So yeah, we're still leasing properties. It's a bit slower, but we're still leasing properties. We're still here. We're still doing, what we can. And yeah, I'm ready to get back on, get back out there and start, getting new properties and helping new clients and just rolling with it, really. It's all we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how's your ideal week changed then? So with what you were doing before, what does your ideal week look now that you're stuck in your office at home?
It's Zoom, everything's Zoom. Yeah, so normally, like, obviously we have like an ideal week. We might do like routines on Thursdays and, entry reports on Tuesdays and things like that. So everything obviously is on Zoom at the moment. So what I've been trying to do is block out some time for me, like to catch up on phone calls and to catch up on,
Dr. Phil?
Dr. Phil. I love a good Dr. Phil. Yeah, well, there's nothing else to do but watch trashy TV. We can go for 1 hour of a walk out here. That's about it. So yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of blocked out a couple of days in my diary. So like I might do like a Monday and a Thursday and just have some me time and just work on my emails, work on my phone calls. And then, the other weeks I might be doing some routines and, most of the time that I would be out on the road is now spent on Zoom. So networking meetings are on Zoom. Routines are on Zoom. Everything is on Zoom. So it's like, if you don't, what I found, if I don't take some time to block out some me time, the other things don't really get done. You still have to do the routine, the rent increase, the rent reviews and lease renewals and maintenance and, calling new clients and calling your existing clients and calling the tenants, seeing if the tenants are okay. I've tried to make a conscious effort to check up on the tenants when I'm talking to them and just kind of go out of my way to do and say nice things to them. If someone's having a baby, I'll always try and send them a card, but maybe I might just check in on them and say, how are you going with that kind of stuff. So just, pay attention to the clients in the portfolio that I have. So I've kind of tried to block out my diary for a couple of days to do that. And then literally the rest of the time is on Zoom. So yeah, I've had to set up my home office. So what I originally was working on a laptop at home, because obviously my computer is at the office. So, and I was like, I'm not going to buy a screen. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to roll with it. It's just short term. And then I thought, Mel, you probably just need to buy a screen because you are not being productive in what you're doing. So I went to office. I did a click and collect. That was a great day. I got to go to Officeworks.
Yeah. Day out.
Yeah, definitely. It's like 10 minutes up the road and you're allowed to go there if you need to. So that was good. Yeah, and I had to set myself up, to be able to work from home because, that's not really something that I prepared for because I don't work at home. I don't, I'm at the office. So yeah, and obviously not doing opens on Saturdays. I also have Saturdays free now. So It's like, what do I do with myself?
Yeah.
You're normally doing opens and I'm now watching Dr. Phil.
I couldn't think
doing emails.
I couldn't think of a better way to spend a Saturday than watching Dr. Phil.
I reckon. I mean, what else you got to do? The footy is almost finished, so I'm a huge AFL fan. So I'm loving that the footy's on 7 days a week, which has been really nice to like kind of do that. So normally my day would now consist of, I still try and do the exercise in the morning because like I have to try and keep some sort of routine up. So I've tried to do that, but I've also tried to do something at night time to kind of close off my computer because otherwise you just come back and it's just always there, that's a real struggle, I suppose, for people working at home. So I kind of just cut off my day and maybe do an activity or go and get some dinner or make some dinner or exercise or something like that to cut off my day. And then kind of like, go into the night normally the AFL's on, so I'm watching that or just some sort of trashy TV or something like that. And then the next day starts again. So just have to keep some form of a routine, I suppose. You can, only do what you can do.
Yeah. And just that normality. And it sounds for me like you are keeping as much normality for your clients and your owners and your tenants and yourself so that there's no major shock when everything returns back to normal as well. Like it does sound like you're really approaching it with a very level head and doing really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, I've just also tried to keep the clients up to date. So to keep them not stressed, like I don't want them to be stressed. And I don't want the tenants to be stressed either. So that's kind of why I've been trying to communicate with them. You know, I might send them a video, an email, and in the email, I have a video to say, you know, something that I might launch to like my social media. I might send to the clients as well and say, look, this is what happened. You know, the moratorium's been extended. If you have any questions, I'm still here. You know, so just so they know and have some sort of calm to them, because people stress out about what's going on. You know, they're worried if their tenants are not paying, and they're worried, you know, people are saying that their offices are closed and the property managers are not contactable. Well, we're still here and you can still contact us. And that's something that I've really been trying to do with the clients as much as possible, because, you know, I don't want them to stress, because when they stress, then we stress and then they're unhappy. So, you know, just trying to do what we can to keep everyone, you know, so they know what's going on too, so that, you know, the anxiety level is brought down, is something that's been really important. But yeah, we're still working, we're still here. I'm still doing every day as per normal. I'm just sometimes in my trackies, you know, and a sweater, and I'm here hanging out with my puppy. And yeah, I'm surprised she hasn't barked because she's in the other room. Normally she's sitting in here with me. I'm surprised we haven't heard her, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what it is. So I'm just keen to get back to just, yeah, dig my feet into the ground and get everything sorted. But for now, yeah, we're doing what we can on the vacant properties. You know, getting the inquiries are still coming in, which is good, but it's just a bit slower than usual. That's all.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been so good to chat with you today, and like I love sort of understanding the insight from where you're coming from, because I've got, you know, Victorian landlords as well, and it's really good to for me, I guess, as a business owner, property manager, to sort of know what those owners are hearing over in Victoria as well, and just it's a good reminder for me that they might assume it's the same all around, and it's very different. So it's good to understand those differences. And I think next week I'm speaking to a lady called Corinne, which you might have seen around, from Queensland, very white in Queensland. And
Yeah.
and I'm excited just to see how everyone's going from state to state. So, and also to see how we end up at the end of it, like Perth. You know, I feel bad saying it. It's bloody awesome over here.
You can do whatever you want.
You know, I feel bad. It really is, and it's very easy for Perth people to forget that what's going on in the rest of the world, and rest of the world and Australia. But you know, we're getting 10 people through home opens, we're getting people offering more, we're getting at least 3 to 5 applications on each property, we're just getting inundated, and you know, all the Airbnbs are coming off, so that's a great DDM opportunity. It's really good, and it would be awesome if you guys also have that same response at the end of it. And I think I read somewhere that good businesses will always be good businesses. So people that operated well, like yourself, operated well before COVID, you'll be absolutely fine after COVID. But it's the businesses that weren't operating efficiently and just weren't operating sensibly before, they're the ones that are going to struggle. So, and they're the ones that will sort of, have problems, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think like we'll all end up in the same place, hopefully sooner rather than later. But you know, I suppose it's an opportunity for us as an industry in Victoria to really step ourselves up. Because I mean, if we can come out of it on the other side as a great, you know, property management, you know, state, then that means that, you know, people in our industry will, you know, we'll be able to get higher fees. We'll be able to achieve, you know, higher pays for our staff and things like that, if we're doing things that maybe the rest of the country aren't doing. Because I mean, I know that the fees in where you are a lot more different to our fees, but you know, just things like that. I mean, as an industry and a collective, I think it's really important that people sort of take this time to really structure their business so that they are awesome when it comes to the end of it, because and that's something that I've really tried to do. Like, I'm still, you know, in the trenches doing everything I have to do with the business, but I'm also setting time aside to set myself up for when we get out of it to be even better than what we were at the start. And I think that, you know, if everyone in Victoria can do that, then we'll shape up to be a really great property management state. So that's what I hope will happen.
Yeah.
You know, but time will tell. So we're just all raring to just get out there and just do what we love to do, and, you know, and to smash it at the other end, and hopefully, you know, have a nice Christmas, or, you know, be able to do what you guys do
Yeah.
over there, and, you know, we'll get there. Don't stress.
Yeah.
We'll come out bigger and
absolutely, and like it's a great time for opportunity at the moment as well. It's been so good to chat with you. I follow you so much on socials, so it is
Thanks.
really great. You're very much like me, and I can see why we get on well. So if anyone wants to connect with you and get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, sure. So you can give us a call on 03 9190 8909, or our website is www.prpm.com.au. So my name's Melissa Hickson, and I am the Director of Prime Residential. We specialise in property management throughout Melbourne. So that's a little bit about us. Hope you watching this have had a little bit of insight as to what's going on in the life of a property manager in Melbourne.
Perfect. So wonderful. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks. Bye.